Amazing. So welcome everybody. And I've got a very special person on the line today. Vinette Roberts is going to be talking to us about her business in website and marketing and wanting to help small business owners to gain an understanding on what are some of the common challenges for business owners, that IT block, if you will, that some of us have. And Vinette can let us know a little bit about her insights and what she's experienced in her industry. So thank you so much for your time, Vinette.
Oh, kia ora, you're welcome.
And I don't know if I accurately described your business there, so please correct me if, get more specific. So share with us a little bit more about your business.
So I look at myself as a digital doer, basically. So around systems. So I am a website developer, but moving along, I love digital platforms, okay? And I love systems around our business. So basically for a lot of us small business owners got systems in our head, but nothing documented. And most of it's not even automated or streamlined. So we sort of like forget about that and go, oh yeah, now what? So especially if we get sick or something like that, or we want to go on holiday, and then we go, oh, now what? It's all in my head. How does my business carry on? So yes, the digital doer and systems is what I do.
Thank you so much. And I love that digital doer, because that is what people are seeking, is that support from somebody that understands the digital world. And you've been working in this industry for a number of years, and having that awareness around what are the best platforms, what is the best software, and being able to support someone through that potentially scary phase of going to the next level of systemizing what is in their heads.
Yeah, it is quite scary. I mean, when I first started this, it was all about buying a computer and using Microsoft, really. But it's actually more to it than that. I mean, writing a Word document, okay, but it's more to than just writing a Word document, really. So I mean, you're formalizing things, but you also want to cut down on your time. So that digital platform side of things is quite overwhelming as well these days. There's a lot out there. There's a lot of digital platforms out there. So, and you probably get bombarded with it. What do I do? And where do I go to next? And help. What is this? Am I using the right platform? Is it working for me? Am I spending too much time? I'm just trying to sort out technology, really. So I think that if you are doing that, you might want to look at what you're doing, and because technology is supposed to help you, not help you through your business, empower you through your business, not the opposite.
Well said. And I love that you've brought to the surface a lot of the common challenges that I'm sure your clients all experience. Is, am I spending, is this the right spend for this kind of platform? Is it the right platform? So I wonder, how do you keep on top of your knowledge base with all the technology advancing so fast?
Oh gosh, really, it's very hard, and I can't. It's impossible. I'd have to have a huge team. So by myself, I can only keep on board on what I think works for my current clientele, and what they're seeking. So that's where I go, this can work. So information overload, yeah, absolutely. I am subscribed to a lot of tech information that comes through to me. But I also streamline that and go, okay, this information is not worth it. So I subscribe to certain newsletters and certain information and keep it to that. Otherwise, you've got to be there forever. I will be there forever, fiddling around, working around, playing with platforms, and I'll never help my customers or myself, really. So it's just keeping it down to the basics, really. What does a business do? what does a small business do really? What are they trying to achieve? And so just using those tools, finding those sorts of tools. So I also try and look at the tools they're currently using and try and embellish on them, so they don't have to buy new tools. But sometimes that will have to happen. Your business grows as your business grows or changes. Yeah, technology changes all the time. So you're right, it's hard.
Absolutely. And I can hear the passion coming through. Like, I get the feeling, and correct me if I'm wrong, that if you didn't have clients paying you for this, you'd just be there investigating it anyway.
I would be. Yeah, that's an issue. I would find something really cool and fun. I'll go, and I'll sit there and play with it. But I've got to contain myself as well and go, come on, I shouldn't be doing this. I mean, sometimes I use my own website as a development website, really, and I shouldn't be doing that either, because the many times I've broken it and stuff like that because I found some amazing tool or integration or something like that, and I've killed my website. But hey, you learn.
Absolutely. I love that. And I love how nerdy you're getting about finding out how you can use these different platforms. And like you mentioned, not necessarily having to change everything, but understanding if that's the right platform for your client and getting really curious about their business and their business goals and becoming part of their team. Essentially, you're tailoring the experience so that they don't have to overwhelm themselves with possibilities. Yeah,
well, that's right. I mean, when you're looking for a new platform, for example, you do a little bit of investigation, but you're only looking for the things that you require at the time, right? So you don't go any further than that. And then, I don't know, 6-8 months down the track, you're probably thinking, oh, is this actually working for me? But really it could be, I mean, because you haven't investigated further into that product or that platform, or you're not even sure where to go next. So yeah, I would consider myself as your support crew, basically, to find out that information for you. Yeah, a bit like an audit, a digital tool audit.
Yeah. Absolutely. And the importance of having that team around you, because you really don't have to do it on your own, and there are people that can support you. I wonder, one of the things that I've heard as well is people's usability with these platforms. A lot of the platforms are getting feedback that the ones that love their platform the most are using them to their maximum ability, and the ones that get the most frustrated are the ones that don't know how to use, or they're using a tiny part of the platform, so they don't have that awareness around what is actually possible with the software.
Yeah, that's right. I think a platform needs to have some clarity. It needs some guidance. It needs to be, well, as you said, it's got to be a user platform, user friendly. Otherwise, why would you use it, really? You'll just dump it fairly quickly. So but even just trying to find that out, I mean, I'd say majority of our small business owners would probably use Xero. What an awesome product that is, and it's really user friendly. I find. I mean, there's some bits that can be a bit much, and if you're not into numbers like I am, then you probably go, yeah, you get your accountants or your bookkeeper to sort it out yourself, and so you should. So that's things like that, and they all interface with other products, like your current products that you've got, like it could be your Google, your Microsoft, or as simple as that. So yeah, I think it's just known. If you don't know, you don't know.
Exactly. Yeah. That's really, really well said.
Yeah.
And what do you find is some of the most common themes? Like, if you think about a package that you'd put together for one of your clients, or if somebody comes to you in the beginning phases of the business, are there certain programs that sort of go together nicely, like you were mentioning, that seems to be a great platform for people to start with?
I always look at whether they got CRMs, because a lot of the CRM platforms will integrate. So a CRM, if no one knows what that is, it's a customer relationship management system. So basically like a database, but it can integrate with nearly everything else, like your accounting system, like your website, like your email, your sales. It's all through, you get that sales funnel coming through as well. You can do your newsletters through it, you can do your social media through it, etc., etc. So I always look at whether they've got a CRM, and always recommend that. There are free CRMs out there, so you don't have to purchase some, $200 a month CRM. You can start at the basics. Some of your websites will probably have a basic CRM, WordPress. I mean, if you're doing e-commerce side of things, I mean, you will have a small basic CRM in there as well. So, and that can integrate with your collaboration tools and with your team, or even with your customers, with your email, with your newsletter platforms, etc., etc. Yeah. So I would look at that. I would also look at your accounting system, because that seems to be the most important, is their accounting system, and getting the information to the customer. Okay, so yeah, and then there's a collaboration tools that go on in between that sort of thing. That could be with your own colleagues or your staff, or even the customers themselves. So yeah, if they fit, if they integrate, then absolutely. If they don't, you can look at hiring an API engineer and sorting it out. I mean, there's a lot of customized platforms built for industries like construction and electricity and all that sort of thing as well. So you can have these integrated into your other systems as well. Yep.
Yeah, well said, because I think that the awareness is lacking in the fact that these systems can all be integrated, and there is a lot of go-to platforms that can take care of a lot of your needs, especially as a small business owner, that you don't need those massive systems yet, and making sure that you're taking into account what they're already using. And especially accounting software is one of the first things that a business owner will have to invest in. And then as a result of that, they'll be able to pair with other systems that work for them.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, here's a true example. We're having a conversation the other week at a digital boost facilitation, and we were talking about Xero, and if anyone uses the quotes side of things under Xero. And I found quite a few people were actually just using a Word instead of the quoting system under their Xero, and which I found quite interesting. And I thought, well, you're probably spending, what is your time there? I mean, how many hours are you spending to create a quote and then attaching it to an invoice or in your Xero, and when really you could just do the quote and then automate it through to your invoice, basically. So that was quite interesting. So I was weighing up that time and how that their own hourly rate. I mean, to me, your cost is high end. So basically, for an extra subscription of what, $20 a month to have that quoting or something like that, as in comparison to your own hourly rate, which could be $125 an hour, what would you do? I would pay an extra $20 an hour for the subscription on Xero. Yeah. So it's just weighing it up and understanding that. I feel that a lot of us small business owners downsize our costs. Oh yeah, we'll do it, it'll cost us less, but really your time costs more.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. And recognizing where your genius zone is and creating that team around you to be able to outsource and not have to suffer through the things that maybe are costing you a lot of energy. Because when you talk about energy costs as well, how much time that's taking you, but frustration, and also not doing it as effectively as somebody who's a professional could, or a better system could. And we don't tend to, or I didn't at the beginning, tend to weigh up that loss of energy. And the question I always ask myself is, if I wasn't costing myself energy here, what would I be doing with that instead? And that's been a game changer for me to recognize that those small, they seem minute costs every month, and yes, they add up. And it also means that you can focus on getting higher quality clients as a result of not spending your energy there.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that you concentrate on what you're really good at, and your passion, and the stuff that you aren't that really good at, or don't need to put your time into. Yeah, use the tools to do it.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
And what's the one word of advice, or a bit of advice, that you would give someone who is starting out in business and doesn't really know what their objectives are per se? What's the first step for them in terms of software? We talked about obviously accounting software, but what's the understanding of how to set themselves up for success?
Yeah, so set yourself up for success. Now, I've been learning this for quite a few years now. So if I think it's really important that you look at your clientele, your niche. So it's your marketing that you need to set yourself up for success first, and then you point down into your tools. Okay, so your tools will support the marketing. All right. So when I say that, it could be as for instance, your CRM. So and your accounting system, they will support what you're trying to service, and who your customers need to be, or who you want your customers to be, basically. I think that's very important. I also will, if you do not have a website, you should have. That's a definitely. I mean, we're a digital, we're online, and that's your shop face, basically. You know, even if you've got a one-pager, you can point them to this shop face and go, this is where you should go. And before your social media, I mean, people love social media, right? But remember, it's social. Yeah. So you chat, right? So that's an important thing around that marketing side of things. Is definitely your website is up there, and you are telling the story of what you want to tell for your customers to come in. So yeah, I think that's quite important.
Awesome. I love that. And the importance of building those relationships and chatting and being social and having that curiosity. I think that there's a lot of disassociation in terms of social media not being seen as, well, there's a bit of a block there. And in reality, it's not associating it with normal connections that you'd have in real life, but allowing yourself to drop into the fact that it actually is just a chat and a hello, and that's okay. And you don't have to have an icky feeling about DMing someone. If you truly are curious about them or their business, they're not going to, and if they don't reply, that's fine, but you're allowing yourself to change your attitude towards it being a platform of curiosity.
Yeah, I just think we probably should be a little bit vulnerable as well. I don't think we're not perfect, and that means our tools are not perfect. All right. So I see this has happened to me a lot. I mean, people don't like going live with their new platforms and all that sort of thing because they want to have it perfect. But how do they know that it's not already perfect if they don't go live? Or how do they know the mistakes or the issues if they're not running it at the same time? So you need to jump in any criticism and issues that come through. Yeah, bring them forward, and that's how you learn and make the changes and make a better product or a better service of what you're trying to sell. Yeah
100%.
Yeah.
And is there anything that you would like to say to people who are starting to get curious about you, and how do they find you?
I live in Olive Grove. Yeah. So geez, I wear many hats, but you can find me at my website's reachdesign.nz. I also have a blog, which is reachmedia.nz. Emails, you can find me on social media, all over the place. You can find me on LinkedIn. So connect with me that way, or you can even, look up maps and there I'll be, and make a call in. I've got a beautiful olive grove. We can sit in between the trees. Doesn't have to be online.
Love that. And if you were happy to have one-to-ones with people who are maybe just curious about what systems they're already using to be able to understand whether they're the most effective ones, that would be wonderful.
Yeah, so I do have one-on-ones, and it's usually about an hour basically. So I really love these initial conversations, and you usually get a feel of each other and start building that relationship. You don't always get the information that you're trying to achieve in that first initiative, but it's actually about building a relationship with that person. And if I can give tips during that time, I usually do. And I go, oh, how about this? Why don't you try this? Et cetera, et cetera. So I like to have a bit of a laugh, and with people as well. So if you don't get my jokes, then then we're probably not a fit. Yeah.
That's a really great way to eliminate the crowd. Just have that real upfront humor and make sure that it is that real values match. And that's a really wonderful thing I love about you, Vinette, is just that awareness that you don't have to work with everyone, that you can select people. And in my mind, there's 8.5 or 8 billion people in the world, and there's approximately 12 archetypes, and 1/12 of that 8 billion people are going to be your vibe. So I love sharing that with my clients as well, to help them understand that it's okay to be able to select people that you want to work with, who are going to become your raving fans and who are going to, you're going to rock their world.
Well, I totally agree. And that's been another learning curve for me too, because it used to be like, oh, I need all these customers, and I make their lives wonderful and happy with all these lovely digital tools, et cetera, but that's actually not the case. I look at myself as that I also need to fit them, but they also need to fit me, otherwise it's not going to work. So that brings it down to a smaller niche, but then that spreads the love. I love having that relationship, so you get to spend more time with those people, and they come back more, and it's rewarding.
Absolutely. Really, really well said. Hey, Vinette, thank you so much for your time today, and really appreciate you coming on the Inspired Leaders podcast. This has been a great insight into the availability of systems and support around some of the potentially icky stuff that we have to deal with when you're starting a business, or if you're already into business, but you've got a lot of questions. A lot of those platforms don't necessarily have a human behind the support crew, and you're that human, the online doer.
I am the online doer. A digital dreamer, I believe.
A digital dreamer. Awesome. Awesome. Well, thank you so much. And I'm going to stop the recording.